Hey guys, it's Sarah. I did my community development project on Monterey Park, California. This is a community located about 15-20 minutes outside of downtown LA. So we're going to go over some of the demographics of the city. So the community became a community in 1916. And the founder was Alessandro Repetto. The major industries that are within the community are the East Los Angeles City College, as well as Garfield Medical Center, which is a very, very large hospital. The population is 60,296, with over 25 of the or 444,367 of the population being over the age of 25. So the community isn't extremely old, but they do have a much older crowd with less than 5,000 people in the 60,000% or 60,000 part of the population being over the age or under the age of 25. This is a primarily Asian community with 66.9% of the community being of Asian descent. As you drive down the streets in Monterey Park, it's really interesting. Everything's written in English, and right underneath it, it's written in Mandarin, so that the community feels at home and they are involved, and they can speak their native tongue and still feel comfortable even though they don't live in their native land. Some nice things about the community is that it's primarily more well-to-do. The unemployment rate is 4.1%, whereas our state's is 4.7%, and our national unemployment rate is 4.3%. So we have a lower unemployment rate in the city of Monterey Park, which is really good. The median income is $56,000, where the median income in the state is $53,000 and in the country is $55,000. So overall, the community in Monterey Park is making more than the state and nationally. So it typically has a better and it's a nicer area to live in. The police department is one of the main things that in all of the interviews that I did was something that got brought up often. Was they love the police in the community. They say that they're very involved. They feel very safe. They feel like the police take a lot of time to make sure that the community feels safe and people feel heard. So the police have 74 sworn officers, and their response call times is 4 minutes and 49 seconds, which is unbelievable because the city of Monterey Park is about 12 square miles. So to be able to get across town basically within 4 minutes, it just shows that they have a lot of police dedicated to that time. And in the year of 2016 till current, the police department has responded to 54,183 calls. Now, the fire department has responded to 5,117 calls. Their response time to fire calls is 6 minutes and 7 seconds, and to medical calls is 5 minutes and 18 seconds. And they have 51 firemen. So some strengths in the community is the diversity. While it is primarily Asian culture, there is a 40% or 33% Hispanic, and then everything else is kind of a mixture, but there is a little bit of everything. So any type of food you want to eat, any type of clothing store you want to go to, any type of grocery store you want to shop at, it's pretty much within Monterey Park, so you can find anything that you want. Another thing was the community involvement. That was something that was said a lot, was the elders in the community as well as the younger generation tend to be very involved in the community and making sure that the community is a nice place to live in. Also, the convenience is a strength. It's so close to LA. It's so close to the freeways. It's pretty much has everything that you could need within Monterey Park, so you don't really even have the need to leave, but if you do, you're close to anything that you need to go to. And it's also a cheaper, more convenient place to live when you're working in downtown LA, so you don't have as much of a commute. It's overall very safe community. They have very low crime rates. The crime rate has also been on the incline, which I'll talk about later, with surrounding communities coming in because of the great reputation that Monterey Park has, and a lot of residents break-ins and grand theft autos. Other than that, though, there's very low crime. And they also have some of the best schools in California. They're rated in the top 5%, so it's a great place to send your kids to go to school there. Some weaknesses is there's not really any resources for the elderly. There's only one elderly home or assisted living home within Monterey Park. So if you are seeking medical attention or resources for at-home care or an in-home facility for the elderly, it's harder to get into. There's also a rising homelessness problem, which is also, it's a problem throughout all of Southern California. But in one of my interviews with the sergeant of police over community development, he was saying that in the past 3 years, the homelessness problem in Monterey Park alone has gone up 31%. That's an insane jump. And it's causing a lot of issues within the community. Another issue is that while the community is very diverse, there's not a lot of social and cultural integration. They don't really come together and share in their diversity. They stay apart and into their own little pockets of their own culture. Another thing was poor leadership. The community tends to feel like the leadership of Monterey Park doesn't really care about them and doesn't really listen to their voice. So that's kind of a bummer. Opportunities are, they are building a lot of new shopping centers and stuff. So there is a lot of opportunity for new jobs, new businesses to come in, to start up. And this gives an opportunity for everyone to kind of reach out to the community in their own sense and create their own community involvement and own community diversity by sharing what they have to offer for the community. And I think the opportunity is to build upon their convenience. With being so close to LA, they have a lot of opportunity to bring in new people to make their community flourish, which I just don't think they've completely seized yet. Although every resident that lives there has very little complaints, and they say even with the complaints that they have, they love the community that they live in. And help with leadership. The leadership is, there's a Hispanic mayor, and then everyone else on the city council board is Asian. So there's not a lot of diversity. There's a huge diversity issue or cultural barrier that they have to break through within the head leadership as well as the council members. And then there's also not much diversity on the team, so a lot of people don't get spoken for. Some threats is the homelessness issue can, since it's on the rise, it can bring down the community. The issue is right now is homelessness is not illegal, but it's looked at as an inconvenience. And the problem that they're running into right now is that the homeless people in the community don't want to be helped. And you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. So it's been really hard for them to figure out what to do with the homeless population, as well as there's not really as many resources as they would like to have for that specific community. Because of the homeless issue, there's also more people coming around from surrounding cities and coming into the community, and this is raising crime. Not crime in physical or harmful violent crimes, but there's been a lot of theft and a lot of robberies, and this is making the community a little bit on the nervous side, which is totally understandable. Also, the residents just want to see more community involvement, but in order to have more community involvement, people need to be willing to be involved, which doesn't seem like something that many people are willing to do within the community. So the needs are for the community are definitely the solutions for the homelessness, improvement on leadership, and then more community activities, as well as help for the elderly. So I've addressed all of those problems, and this is something that everyone in the community is eager for and wants, and it just needs to be done now. Someone needs to stand and do it. So basically, they need a community developer to come in and help them and do a community developer solutions. And my community developing solutions that I think would work well for the city of Monterey Park are advertising fun things for the community to be involved in. So like setting up city barbecues and inviting people to come in and meet the leaders of their community, as well as meeting their neighbors, to maybe cross that cultural boundary, that their barrier that they've set up, and meet each other and create new opportunities with each other. And I think that a great way to do that would be on social media. Monterey Park advertises on newspaper and online, but they're not really on a social media page, and the social media page is very sad for them. So to spice it up a little bit and actually put effort into it. Another thing is having more resources for the elderly. As a community developer with ideas, I would go into that community and make that something that is a priority, and make sure that I'm doing all that I can to get the resources that the elderly for the community needs, especially since they're such a large part of the population in Monterey Park. And then the last thing would be making the community feel like they're heard by the leadership. And again, like I said, I think that by being more involved in the community, they'll feel more heard. So setting up opportunities for them to share and will create that feeling that they are heard and their voice matters, because the community leaders will actually get to know the community and the residents within it, and be able to talk to them and hear the needs and what's going well and what needs improvement. So overall, I think Monterey Park sounds like a great place to live in and a beautiful city, and I think that it needs minor improvements, and with those minor improvements, it could really be a great place to live. So thank you so much for listening to my show, but that's all for now.